Hey guys, it's Leigh with Still Raven Farms. Today we're going to talk about struggling with overwhelm and dealing with it. Um, One of the big things that I deal with here on the farm is mostly, if we're being honest, it's mostly going to be the garden. Trying to figure out how to plant and keep alive almost 15,000 square feet of garden space is surprisingly difficult. But this is not just for homesteaders, this is for anybody who is dealing with overwhelm. But because I am a homesteader and that is what my platform speaks to, that's who I'm talking to today. Um, the biggest I'm gonna let you know now, so that if you don't want to listen to the rest of this because you completely disagree with me, um, the biggest thing that I have learned that helps with overwhelm and stress and anxiety and all of those things is the idea that if I die tomorrow, it's not my problem. I get a lot of pushback for that because we have been conditioned as a society to think that you have to do everything today. You can't just, take a break and say, okay, well, I can't handle this today. I've got too much going on. The idea that you would dare take a break is completely, it's unthinkable in the American society. And so dealing with that and dealing with the struggle of how you're going to get all of this stuff done within this certain amount of time is very difficult. And the way that I have combated that is to say, if I die tomorrow, it's not my problem. It's Jared's problem. It's a kid's problem. It's not my problem. And I won't be here. And so that has really, really helped with this idea that I don't have to get everything done and it's okay. And so if you don't agree with that, which is completely understandable because that's very hard to get wrapped around our brain, I do have some other options. But first I want to, so I did a quick Google search on, how to deal with overwhelm, how to overcome the struggles with it, so on. And the thing that got me the most was that there's all these think tanks, right? There's all these people that come back and say, oh, just relax. You got to find ways to reduce stress. You got to do this. You got to do that. Ask for help. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how do I relax? Like, how do you do that? Because I was raised in a generation where you don't just relax. Sorry about that. The dog was getting ready to start barking. And then Jared had a phone call. And then. So anyway, sorry. I was never taught how to relax. I think a lot of us in our generation, so I'm getting ready to turn 35. And in my generation, I don't think there was a single person that was taught how to relax because, you got up, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was for your district, and you went to school, and then you spent 8 hours sitting there, learning. And then you got done with that and you went home and you had chores and homework and dinner and all of this stuff. And you didn't really have a chance to relax. You didn't really, like, sure, you could play video games a little bit, but only if you got all your chores done. Or you could, go play with your friends, but only if you got your chores done. And so it created this environment of adults who cannot relax because we got a bunch of shit to do. And so now we have an entire generation, the I guess it would be the middle millennials or the older millennials that don't know how to relax. We don't go to the beach. We don't go for a walk because we don't have time. We don't, we got to get this done, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. And it never ends. So we don't know how to relax. And it, again, has created this overwhelming thing that we can't back off from because we don't know how. And so the idea where they're like, learn to relax, just relax. Okay, well, what would you like me to do? So, what I have learned, because I don't know how to relax, and I don't feel like that is ever going to change. One of the things that I try to do is I go into my garden, even in the middle of winter. It doesn't matter. And I will sit in my garden for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. These dogs are driving me crazy, I swear. It's the joy of having a puppy and a Blue. Blue's going to be like this for the rest of her life. Anyways, but I go out into my garden and I sit for however long until the feeling of I've got all this shit I've got to get done subsides. And my 8 mile to-do list is standing outside of the garden, just fucking, raging at me because, well, since you're in the garden, you might as well pull some weeds and, mow it and do this and do this and do this and all these things that you need to do in your garden. And I'm just sitting there going, no. And I don't do it. I just sit there. And I sit there until the feelings of guilt and shame and anxiety and all of this stuff goes away. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Now I will go weed, and it really does help. And again, it takes a fucking forever because the whole time you're sitting there going, I have all this stuff that I need to get done. And all you want to do is knock those things off your to-do list. And that's a great goal. But when you stop and realize that there will always be more shit that gets added to your list, yeah, you're going to end up in a situation where, again, you have this 8 mile long to-do list that's just screaming at you to get done and you're still not relaxing. The other thing that they say is that you should, learn how to reduce your stress. Okay, well, what does that look like? And I love how on these different, blog posts and, YouTubes and all these think tanks and all these things tell you all the things that you should do, just these quick bullet points of, oh, you should relax, you should take a vacation, you should do this, you should do that, you should do all these things, but they never tell you how to actually do those things. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way. There's no way. Now, when it comes to reducing stress, I would love for somebody to sit down and give me a manual on how to reduce stress because I've yet to figure it out in 35 years. Because I work full time, I work 48 hours a week at my normal paying job. And then I have 2 part-time jobs, which that can range between, usually no more than another 20 hours a week. And then, we homeschool the kids and we've got the garden and the animals and this and this and this. And P.S. I've got the blog, I've got a podcast, and I'm doing a podcast with Jared. So by the time everything's all said and done, I'm working 90+ hour work weeks. How the hell am I supposed to reduce my stress? Because if I want the podcast or the blog or a relationship with my husband or my kids to be successful, I have to put the time into those things. And that's hard to get done when your end game is to retire, when your end game is to, pay off all of your debt, pay off the house, pay this off, do this, do this, do this. How do you do it? Right? How do you get all that stuff? These dogs are driving me crazy. So one of the ways that I reduce stress, and this is not an end all be all, is I let it go. I let it go. Like, it's not worth it. And so, the dog tore up the couch, let it go. You want a new couch because the dog tore up the couch and the husband won't let you get a couch. Let it go. And then, the laundry basket's overflowing, let it go. Floors need to be vacuumed and mopped, let it go. Cat puked in the bathtub. Okay, maybe don't let that one go. And that one might need to be taken care of a little bit sooner. But just let it go. Do I need to do it right now? And that's one of the things that I tell my kids all the time is, and I tell Jared, although he's not quite as bad about it, is if it's standing in the way of you accomplishing whatever it is that you need to accomplish, then don't let that go. But if it's not that important, let it go. It's not worth it. Whatever it is not worth it. And so like right now, sorry, right now, I'm staring at Jared's muddy boots in my living room. I'm staring at my muddy boots in the living room. I'm staring at it looks like a plastic baggie on the floor. And I'm like, I should really go clean that up. But I'm not going to. Not right now. Right now I'm busy. I'm doing something else that is pushing me, pushing my needle, so to speak, towards my retirement plan, right? It's something that I enjoy doing. So I'm going to enjoy doing that. And then I will go pick up the trash and I will put the boots outside and I will do all of that stuff. But I'm not doing it right now because it's not worth it. So I let it go. And that actually helps a ton because you just stop and you're like, meh, it's not that important. And lastly, the thing that drives me probably the most insane out of all of this is they're like, well, just ask for help. Get your team together and ask for help. Listen, I have asked for help in some form or fashion almost my entire life. And I have been told, well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, or some variation of, you got this, you don't need help. And I'm sitting there going, but I'm asking you for help. So clearly I need help and I'm not getting it with whatever it is, whether I'm at work and I need help understanding something, or I'm at home and I'm sitting there going, I need help in the garden. Jared's like, well, I'm building a greenhouse. And so you have to decide then, do I need help in the garden or do I want the greenhouse? Well, fuck it. I guess I don't need help in the garden. I'm going to get that done because I really want my greenhouse done more. And so you can ask for help, but then you kind of, after asking for it, you're like, maybe I don't actually want the help, because if I get the help, then, X, Y, Z isn't going to get done. So asking for help really isn't a good way to deal with overwhelm, because again, you've dealt for years with people saying, you've got this, you don't need help. When Jared was deployed and I had the boys, I'd literally sit there and go, I am not okay. I do not have this. I need help. I don't understand what's going on. Whatever. And the general response was, you got this. Don't worry about it. You got this. You're a strong, independent woman. You got this handled. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know why he's crying, or like when we moved to Texas, and Jared, within a couple of months of moving to Texas, he was in Afghanistan and I was pregnant with Jackson, and then I had Jackson by myself. And I'm sitting there going, I need help, but all of my help is, 1,000 miles away, and feeling like I couldn't reach out because I got this. I'm a strong, independent woman. I got this. So now when I deal with the way that I deal with asking for help is I delegate. I like, right now Jackson is in this thing where he wants more time on his tablet or his phone or, whatever it is. And we have told him, if you want more time, you need to do more chores. And he's like, all right, cool. And so he finds stuff to do, or he asks us for stuff to do. And we delegate out those different things that, we need done, but can't get done, or, whatever. And that has helped a lot. One of the biggest and coolest things that's happened here recently is, I was going in on a 48. So I was going to be at work for 48 hours. That doesn't count the drive to and from. So just being there 48 hours. And before I left, I asked Jared to handle the laundry. Like, hey, can you get this done? Like, the baskets are overflowing. And the end of it is that I didn't want to come home from a 48 with not only a pile of laundry that needed to be washed, but also a pile of laundry that needed to be hung up and put away. And he handled it. Like, that was it. I asked him to do laundry. He did the laundry. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because it was great. Like, it was something I didn't have to mess with when I got home. The cool part is that he notices that I've been struggling, with different things. And he's like, I'm going to do the laundry. And so for the last 2 weeks, like, as of this recording, I think he's been doing it for 2 weeks now. Like, I go to work, I come home, and the laundry has magically disappeared. And it's funny because the other day, like I didn't notice the laundry because we have a separate laundry room. And because it's been cold, we've got like this curtain thing that we, you know, pull across the door. So I don't see into the laundry room. And I get home, I'm tired. We ran that night, not a lot, but enough to break up your sleep pattern, enough that, you're friggin' exhausted. And, get in the shower, I get out of the shower and I go into the bath or into the bedroom to get clothes. And the only reason why I knew he had done the laundry is because he rolled my underwear. And I don't roll my underwear. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. It's one less thing that I didn't have to deal with. And so I texted him and I said, I really appreciate you doing the laundry. And that night when we were talking on the phone, he said something about the laundry. And I was like, I'm not going to lie to you. The only reason why I noticed that the laundry got done was because my underwear was rolled, and I don't roll my underwear. That's fine. Like, I don't care that the underwear was folded because I didn't have to do it. And I think that biggest adjustment to like my mindset and, in general is it doesn't have to be done your way. As long as it's done, it's amazing. And it is probably the one thing that has over the last year is just like, whatever, as long as it gets done, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care that the vacuum, the little dust bunnies in the corner aren't vacuumed up. Do I want them vacuumed up? Absolutely. That would be great. But sorry. So we're trying to set up this our other podcast, and I got tired of waiting, and I knew I had a whole bunch of other recordings that I had to do today. And so I'm trying out my equipment for the first time, and it's actually pretty cool. I can hear stuff. It's weird. But Jared's over here trying to get stuff downloaded, and he's trying to vape, and he's trying to do stuff, and he's trying to be very quiet. And it's working sort of for the most part, but the dogs want his attention, and that's annoying. But anyways, the biggest thing that I would say when it comes to dealing, what? Yes, you have to be quiet over there, and I'm over here clearing my throat because coffee causes creamer. A lot of creamer in the coffee causes a lot of phlegm in the throat. P.S. If you're going to get coffee, I would love another one. Thank you. Love you. So, anyways, but that is how I deal with overwhelm, and it's not great, y'all. It's really not. If you have ways that you deal with your, anxiety and, the guilt and the shame of taking a break, like I don't think people have ever really identified. Oop, the mic fell. I don't think people have ever really identified that that's the feelings that they have when they're dealing with. They decide to take a break. Like, no, I'm going to get a manicure, pedicure. I'm going to go spend some time on myself. And then they have all this guilt and shame and anxiety attached to it. And they're like, well, I don't want to go waste money on something that is just for me. And it's very difficult for people to handle that. And I think that's part of, and I don't know how it is in any other country. I just know how it is here in the US. And I think it's a very standard American thing where if you are not constantly pushing the needle, if you are not constantly, moving towards those goals and setting those goals and doing all this stuff, then you're this horrible, lazy, terrible person. And that's not the case. The American culture is a culture of excess. Right? Excess food, excess content, excess, got to have more. And it has created this beast where now you've got people, especially millennials. And I don't know about any other generation because I'm not any other generation. I am a millennial, and I'm looking around going, how the hell did we get here? How did we reach this point where it is okay and acceptable to be exhausted all the time, to be overwhelmed all the time, stress, anxiety, guilt, shame, all this stuff, and we don't know how to process it? We have no idea how to process it because we weren't taught how to process it because our parents didn't even acknowledge it because their parents didn't tell them how to do it. So, you have a bunch of us, especially in the homestead community, that are literally stepping back and going, no, 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 this isn't right. I want to live in the slow lane. I don't want more. I don't want excess. I want to feed my family out of my garden. I want to raise my kids. I want to raise my animals. I want to teach my children that it's okay to have these big emotions. And then you're labeled, a snowflake, and it's like, nope, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works because the snowflakes that I have seen are definitely not a millennial. So, but anyways, yeah, dealing with overwhelm. Poor Jared, he constantly he's like, "Are you overwhelmed right now?" And I'm like, "No, why?" And he goes, "Okay." And he starts screwing with me. And then I start getting overwhelmed and he's like, "Oh, too far." And so he's been great over the last year. I've been going through a lot of health stuff. Not physical health. Well, some of it was physical health a couple months ago, but I have really made a conscious effort, in 2023 really since the summer of 2023 that I was going to step back. And I was going, I have stepped back and punted a lot of things this year. And I'm just like, I can't handle it right now. And I'm not going to. And the stress level that I was feeling in April compared to the stress level that I'm feeling now is worlds different. Now, part of that is because it's, April is prime garden season, right? Like that's when we're really getting in there and starting in the garden. But the flip side to that is in November, December, we're not really doing as much. But I think the bigger part of it has been this huge mindset shift of it's not that important. I can't yell at the husband when he makes a lot of noise like I can with the kids or the dogs, but damn it, he's literally making the most noise I've ever heard him make in an effort to not make noise. And of course the dogs are like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" So anyways, that's all I have for you today. I hope it helps. If you have any tips, tricks, or, even if you're struggling with overwhelm, leave those in the comments. We are starting to post a lot more of this stuff on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon. Our podcast is on those different sites. So make sure you subscribe to those. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your